Hello everyone, welcome. This is Ravi Gupta. I am editor-in-chief of a magazine called eHealth. eHealth is India's first and the only magazine which is the leading magazine on the field of innovations in healthcare for last 15 years. And we have been, every month, we have been printing this magazine, and we are online on social media and online portal, and we are highlighting how are the different aspects of the healthcare industry evolving, and how is the innovation in the healthcare sector going on in India and abroad. And today we are proud to have an expert with us, Mr. Dilip Patil. He is
Namaste.
founder of and director of Trivector Group and Baby Quest Cryobank. Welcome, Dilip ji. Namaskar.
Namaste, good afternoon, and good morning to my friends who are watching from Europe. I know a few of them are logged in. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have lots of our viewers on live on the Facebook also who are watching us, and there are lots of people who are watching us live on the Zoom also. So before I start, I will briefly mention about our speaker, Mr. Dilip Patil founded India's first dedicated IVF company in 1993, and he is a leader in that field since then. He is a biomedical engineer by education, but he has innovated in several other sectors also. He has set up India's first international sperm bank in collaboration with Danish Sperm Bank in 2008. He has participated in an extensive course at Harvard Medical School on airborne infection control in 2017, and also delivered a presentation on plasma air disinfection technology. And he is an organic farmer by legacy and a vivid reader and a world traveler. So welcome, Dilip ji. And our topic today, on which Dilip Patil is going to speak, is on controlling healthcare associated infections in the COVID-19 era and beyond. Why hand hygiene and surface cleaning are not enough. So this is a contemporary issue. This is a very important topic in the times of COVID. So I am going to ask Dilip Patil some questions, and he will be answering us. So first is that before we start with your presentation, in the current pandemic situation, tell us briefly what can be done to protect the frontline workers.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gupta, for giving me this opportunity to present whatever I have to share. I'll just brief about current pandemic situation. What is the status and how relevant today's webinar is for this. So all the hospitals during this pandemic, all the hospitals and all the authorities, they are taking utmost care to follow the infection control guidelines. They are doing their best, like maintain physical distancing, maintaining hand hygiene and surface cleaning, providing healthcare workers with sufficient protective gears, PPEs, as we know it. But the hospital beds are full. They are overcrowded. Makeshift hospitals in sports arena and exhibition grounds are being constructed. The hospital budgets are always limited, and in this pandemic time, they are under tremendous stress. Frontline workers, they are so overworked, they are exhausted. They are increasingly getting infected, and some of them are laying their lives. PPE shortage, it's an unfortunate reality. Means not all the workers are getting proper PPEs. Hand hygiene in this pandemic time is notoriously inadequate. The cleaning staff, they simply cannot cope up with the enormity of this pandemic, COVID-19. So these are the issues. And patients, the big issue again is underlying that patient with other illnesses like TB or other things, they are being neglected or they are getting lowest priorities. So we are in for a big challenge in regards to these patients actually, which are undetected or untreated. And as with many pathogens, I think, and then everybody agrees that we have to live with this friend corona for longer time, to come. So what we can do? So we have to augment, we have to enhance our existing infection control practices. We have to look afresh with these practices with additional sustainable solutions. What are they, if there are any? And today's webinar is throwing some light on this topic.
Sure. Dilip ji,
Yeah.
I have a request. Like, if you can switch off the screen share,
Okay.
but like it is a bit of blurred, and what you are speaking is like good enough, so we can interact, and that would be nice.
Okay.
And whenever like there is something technical, we can open the screen.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So, please tell us that what is the importance of HAI, and how big is the problem of HAIs, and what is the economical and social impact of HAIs? Yeah.
Okay. So for the starters who are wondering what is HAI, HAI is healthcare associated infection or hospital acquired infection or nosocomial infection as it is known. And these are the infections which patients or the visitors get from the hospitals, which is not there in them, but they get it from the hospital, or they develop it after discharge from the hospital. And healthcare infections, or HI, is also classified as occupational infections among the healthcare staff. And fortunately, all these healthcare infections or hospital acquired infections are preventable. So how big is the problem of HIs? Let's see. How big is the problem? It's really staggering. 7% of all patients in developed countries like Americas and Europe, and 15% in countries like India and Africa, they acquire at least one infection during their hospital stay, which is huge. There are 1.4 million hospitalized patients at any given time around the world. 1.4 million patients get at least one infection at any given time right now. And then 30% of them, 30% of these infections are acquired in ICUs. And for developing countries like India, this statistics is maybe double fold, means maybe 50% of patients from ICUs get the infection. The mortality rate or the death rate for this hospital infection is 10%, means 10% of the patient die. 6 million patients, we have a data from CDC and WHO, 6 million patients in Europe and the United States are infected annually, and out of which 140,000 deaths occur every single year. We don't have the data from developing countries like India, but then you can just gauge the enormity. There is a WHO note, which is very striking actually. They say in developing countries, the childhood, the neonatal death rate from hospital acquired infections equates to a plane crashing every hour, a jumbo plane crashing every hour. Just see how big is this problem for the neonatals, for the child. And what are the economics? Let's see whether it is just the death statistics or it's economical and social impact because of these hospital acquired infections. In developing countries, patients spend between 5 to 30 days, additional days in hospital because they get infection in the hospital. HI patients or hospital acquired infection patients are 5 times more likely to be readmitted after discharge. I'm talking all these data points from sources CDC America. A single superbug infection, it is known as MRSA infection, in the neonatal intensive NICU. If some child gets in NICU MRSA infection in America, so average his infant's hospital stay is extended by 40 days additional days. And then do you know what, in America, this 40 days of extra, this thing cost about $160,000 for that particular patient. So economically, it is a disaster. According to CDC, again, the overall annual direct medical cost, CDC talks about American and European, American especially. So total cost to the healthcare sector for hospital acquired infection in USA is about $45 billion. $45 billion. And in Europe, it is about $7 billion. 7 billion euros, sorry. So this data is not conclusive in developing countries, but it certainly is huge, as you can see, huge economic burden, which can be avoided to great extent by taking precautions. And what are the social consequences of this HI? As you know, there are substantial extra costs for the health services, insurance companies, the administrator, and the patients, of course. The overall impact on the facility, healthcare facility, and the workers, especially in the times like this pandemic like COVID. Unnecessary investigations, patients are subjected to unnecessary investigations because they're staying longer and treatment. So, of course, there could be excess use of antibiotics, private cost to the patient and their relatives and their attendants, out-of-pocket expenses, and then quality of life is the biggest hazard actually. There could be death, pain related with the infection, discomfort, psychological trauma, and there is lost productivity due to morbidity and mortality. So these are the socio-economical consequences of HI. So you can see HAIs are really a big problem. Means maybe it was there before COVID, it is there during COVID, and it will be there even after COVID. So today's webinars focus is on this hospital-acquired infection during COVID and beyond COVID era also. So
Sure.
there are, just to, before you ask your next question, it doesn't mean that hospitals are not doing anything. So we have WHO and CDC and our own Indian guidelines. We have guidelines for improving hand hygiene amongst hospital staff. We have guidelines for improving surface cleaning protocols. Most of the hospitals and all the cross agencies, means veterinary field and all the fields, they are trying to come together and follow antimicrobial stewardship, means to use of antibiotics, limit the use of antibiotics. So these are three things which are laid down for controlling healthcare infection. But then there is also disinfecting the air, which is normally missing in the whole thing. I mean, air is the last priority, unfortunately. But as you can see now in this current pandemic, air is the missing link. Yes, Dr. Gupta.
Yes, I think you have highlighted the importance of the HEI here. But what I want to ask you is that why do you think hand hygiene and surface cleaning is not enough? And the related question is that why airborne infection has to be looked more seriously? Yeah.
Okay, so let's come to hand hygiene. Actually, the hands of the healthcare workers, they are the chief vehicle for all these pathogens to transmit in the hospital. So WHO has advised 5 golden moments for hand hygiene. So which are they? The first is before you touch a patient. Second is before you clean or do the aseptic procedure. Third is after body fluid like urine or blood, the healthcare worker is exposed to this risk of changing the urine bag and all this thing. Fourth is after touching a patient anytime. And fifth and final is after touching the patient's surroundings. It could be the bed railings, it could be anything. It could be the stand, IV stand and all these things. But do you know what? 76% of healthcare workers miss at least one of this event, one of this key moment. 76. So this is a study. The source of the study is a German and Ukrainian study. So they found out 76% healthcare workers miss at least one occasion of cleaning the hand. So what are the lapses? Let's see what are the lapses. Even when hand rub is readily available in front of the worker, when the dispenser and sinks are in working order, everything is working order, no leakage, no blockage of water. And when all the policies, administrator put policies everywhere which are visible to healthcare workers, procedures are visible, still compliance of hand hygiene remains very, very low. How low? Less than 40% according to WHO. Means 60% people all over the world, they don't follow hand hygiene protocol properly. And in developing countries, you'll be surprised, the figures are only 1 to 5% compliance. So what are the lapses? Means why it's not followed properly? Either the workers don't rub the hands as long as it is required. They don't use enough soap, maybe. And then they don't clean the backs and knuckles of their hands. According to WHO, average time spent on hand hygiene or hand cleaning is 11 seconds. On the contrary, it has to be 20 seconds. We have learned that during COVID pandemic. And then when you wear the gloves, the leaves, the workers, actually some workers leave wrist exposed to the atmosphere. Then while changing, they fail to change the gloves at appropriate times, or rather they overuse it. And after changing also, they fail to use proper technique to remove the gloves. They may unwittingly infect other surfaces while removing the gloves. So this is the lapses on hand hygiene. And so that's why we have big importance on surface cleaning. Given the limitations of hand hygiene, proliferation of superbugs, COVID, meticulous surface cleaning is all the more critical. So all these infection outbreaks, which we have seen all these years, they are either all the way from contaminated surfaces like bed railings, sinks, door handles, stethoscopes, glucometers, computer keyboards, telephones in the ICU. So these are the sources of surface contamination.
Sure.
So what are the lapses in surface cleaning? I will just quickly.
Yes. And
yes, sir.
Suggest that like if you can try that screen sharing again and see that if it is better now. If
okay.
We can try it.
Yeah, I will try it. Just a minute. Give me a second. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes. But we need a bigger one. Yeah.
Okay. So what are the failures of surface cleaning?
Yes.
With hospital budgets, limited budgets, cleaning staff often have very less time. Normally, WHO recommends that between two patients, there has to be at least 40 to 45 minutes of cleaning of that room, which is not followed. Nobody has that much time. Surfaces are not cleaned thoroughly enough with the right chemicals, with the right concentration, with the right length of time. So it is overlooked. Hospitals can't accurately gauge whether the room or a particular area surface has been disinfected, because normally we tend to see the visible inspect the cleanest area, and then we just miss the area which is not clean. Even though this is a very interesting study, even though you clean all the things meticulously, bacteria still comes back. They rebound on surfaces within 3 hours of chemical disinfections. So this is a study done by Hannah Block in 2014. So every 3 hours, the bacteria again resurfaces, even if you do meticulous surface cleaning. And then many big corporate hospitals, many of them, they outsource this cleaning. They outsource the cleaning staff. But naturally, this cleaning staff, they tend to be underpaid by their agencies. They are either undertrained. They feel less committed to the hospitals they service. They just do the work because they are paid or underpaid for that. And they perform their jobs with less diligence. It may not be true for all the staff, but then this is the finding of the report actually. And the report also concludes that hospitals using outsourced cleaning have far greater rates of superbug infection. So this so far as surface cleaning is concerned. So what we are missing here, we are missing the air. It means we are trying to do hand hygiene, we are trying to do surface cleaning, but then there are lapses which we can't avoid, or it takes times. So even if hospitals have strategies in place to increase the compliance, but these compliances are costly. They are subject to red tape. You have to take permission from your infection control head and the committee, and that committee meets only once in a month. And so there's a red tape, and it takes longer time to make sustainable impact on the infection rates. And this is another unfortunate fact. Because of overuse of antibiotics, 70% of bacteria have developed resistance to all the available antibiotics, commonly available antibiotics. It is the fact also that during last 30 years, not a single new antibiotics was developed by any company. So what is final solution, or what is the additional solution rather? So we have to inactivate the viable airborne particles before they settle on surfaces, or provide additional protection against infection before they come in contact with the hands. So it's a link actually. So air, then surface, then hands. So we have to close this link. So this is Mr. Bill Gates, who said 2 years back in 2018 in one of the WHO meetings, it is his statement, a fast moving airborne pathogen could kill more than 30 million people in less than a year. So this may be this may look exaggerated that time, but in during this pandemic, you can imagine how prophetic Mr. Gates was. So he talked about airborne pathogens. He didn't talk about surface bacteria. He didn't talk about hand hygiene and all these things. He talked about airborne bacteria. So now, your next question, what is?
Yes. So the question is around that. What are the current methods of air cleaning? If you can talk about.
Before that, Dr. Gupta, I would like to what is airborne actually? What is airborne and what are the pathogens which are airborne, and why we are talking so much about airborne nowadays?
Exactly.
So airborne disease is any disease which is transmitted by a pathogen, through a pathogen via air. So that is the definition of as you can see, these airborne pathogens are either in the droplet forms, or they are heavier droplets which fall with a distance of 1 to 3 feet, and they settle within 4 minutes on the floor. And there are mid-size droplets or particles which fall about 3 to 5 feet, and they stay there for about few minutes actually. And the most dangerous ones are the small one, between 1 to 3 micron, which indefinitely remain suspended in the air. And these are the droplet nuclei, or aerosols we call it. They are dangerous because they are inhaled. They stay there in the air for a longer duration, and they also get circulated in the HVAC or air handling system and amplify the problem in the centrally air handle system, this thing. So this is what airborne disease is. What is the route of airborne transmission? So there is a paper which says that 1/3 of all the hospital acquired infections, of 1/3 of hospital acquired, possibly 1/3 of them are from airborne region. They are from airborne. So 30% of the infections in hospitals are having a source from the air. So pathogens, these are discharged into air. They settle on environmental surfaces, which could then become secondary vehicles. Means, in fact, it can also ride on the dust particles, PM particulate matters, and spread infection agents indoors. And you can see from this particular picture, this patient is infecting this unsuspected patient, and then it is routed through a central HVAC system and getting another patient. So this is how the airborne transmission happens. So hospital need to inactivate dangerous airborne particles before they settle on surfaces. So what are the common airborne pathogens? What are the things which transmit through the air? So there are bacteria like C. difficile, MRSA, superbugs, and tuberculosis. These are spread through air. And unfortunately, tuberculosis statistics is very disturbing. 1.6 million people are killed in a year due to tuberculosis. And do you know what? India contributes to 30% of tuberculosis load of the world. And Mumbai is the capital for drug-resistant TB. Then airborne pathogens like viruses, influenza. You have flu all the time in the air. Norovirus, which is stomach virus actually, diarrhea and all this thing. And then there came SARS, MERS. These are the smaller cousins of coronavirus. Then there is measles, and now SARS-CoV-2. Now you will question whether it is really airborne, because WHO says it's a droplet or contact based. So I'm coming to the next slide and telling you the evidence why it is airborne. And then there are allergens in the air like pollens, mold spores, fungus, dust mites. So these are again transmit from the air and they infect the patient. And volatile organic compounds, what are they? These are actually the gas emission, means with our industrial lifestyle and city life. These volatile organic compounds are generated from solids and liquids, especially from paints, cleaners, and the biggest culprit is household disinfectant. Whatever we use for cleaning our surfaces in house, they are the biggest cause of volatile organic compounds. Then plastics we use, pesticides, petrol, building material. So this all material, all these material generate VOCs, and there are reports which suggest that VOCs are detrimental for human health. So these are the things which are there in the air. So next question which Dr. Gupta or the audience may ask is COVID-19 airborne? I think,
This is a
yeah.
very important question, which I think all of us in the country are asking this. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So unfortunately, yeah, means unfortunately, WHO still maintains, even after 3 months of this pandemic, WHO is still maintaining that SARS-CoV-2 or coronavirus spreads mainly through respiratory droplets and contact routes. But at the same time, they, along with CDC, they advise healthcare workers to take airborne precaution, including N95 respirator. N95 respirator they advise. They also advise to take airborne precaution, but then they don't admit that it is airborne. They say it is still droplet based. But then there is bigger and bigger evidence which is coming out that coronavirus travels through the air, through aerosols or droplet nuclei, and it remains there for longer time. So I will mention few studies which I came across, which is very recent. Diamond Princess cruise ship, you know that. It was in the news. It was docked because there were all the passengers were affected with coronavirus. So University of Nebraska in America, the patients were admitted there, and they did the study. They took the air samples from the ship, from the hallways, from the rooms of the patients, and what they found, 66.7% of air samples, they found the particles of RNA of this virus. That means, and they also took the samples from different objects of the patients, like pen, mobile phones, and all these things. So they found all these particles on different gadgets of the patient. So which leads us to believe that it is airborne. Then the Wuhan hospital, 3-1 hospital, where it all began, they did the study. They took air samples from healthcare workers' changing rooms when they changed their PPEs. They found traces of SARS-CoV-2 virus even after several hours of using the room, means even after a day of using the room. So this study was published in March 20 by Yuan Liu in Modern Virology Research Center, China. Then this is very recent, just a couple of days back in Canada, Montreal. There's an old age home called CHSLD. The ventilation system went off. The air handling system, centralized air handling system, conked off. It malfunctioned, and out of 260 patients which were tested positive, the old guys, 100 died on the same day, instantly, in a short time, and 149 healthcare workers tested positive. So this was just news yesterday on Radio Canada. And then infection control specialists from Canada, they visited and they confirmed that this incidence was due to airborne transmission. So what else you want to know about COVID is airborne or not? There's still further evidence. There's a big, nice article in the Journal of Environmental International in April 2020, which actually headlines the article, airborne transmission of SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus. The world should face the reality that it is airborne. So it's a nice article reading. It has many references. And lastly, again, in China, they conducted studies in 2 different hospitals across China about COVID-19, and they concluded in Zhejiang province, they concluded that we should consider the potential for airborne spread of COVID-19, particularly in enclosed spaces with recirculating air conditioning system. So most of the spaces are like that. They are enclosed, they are not ventilated. So the bigger problem lies where you are supposed to get locked down in a small room and all these things. So you can see how big the problem could be. And then majority of our tested patient, positive patients, asymptomatic. They are asymptomatic. That means they are unwittingly spreading this virus through airborne route. So just imagine how big the problem could be. So we have to take airborne precautions. Yes, Dr. Gupta.
Sure. So you have explained the situation of the COVID-19, and there is a awareness happening that it is a airborne infection also. So what are the current methods of the air cleaning, and what are the solutions you are proposing to overcome the problem of airborne infection?
Okay. So basically, when it comes to air cleaning technologies or air purification technologies, there are 2 broad methods. One is trap method, means trapping the pathogens, and another one is killing the pathogens. So most of the hospitals, they have this trapping method, like HEPA filters, carbon filters, ULPA filters. But as you know, HEPA filter has a huge limitation. You need to replace them periodically. If you don't replace them, there is a danger of bacteria getting colonized. So it will harm more than doing any good. Another problem with HEPA is that its performance decreases with humidity. It doesn't work really effectively during high humidity period. Thirdly, the maintenance cost of HEPA is tremendous. What is maintenance cost? Not just replacing, but the electricity cost to run the centralized HVAC system or AHU. It consumes so much electricity that 60 to 80% of life cycle cost of the filtration system is due to the electricity bill. Can you imagine? So it's very, very expensive to maintain. And unfortunately in India, we don't have resources to maintain it periodically. Then there are other different filters available in the market. They are basically ionizers, hundreds of them flooding the market. But believe me, they are just creating positive and negative ions. These ions club with the pathogens, positive or negative, depending on the pathogen structure. And then they accumulate or they settle down on some surfaces or some filters. So it's trapping. And then after some time, you need to replace those filters, and ionizers is having very limited capacity. It generates ozone, which is not good for the patient. So this may be good for domestic application, just to feel good that I have ionizer, I have air purifier, but I'm sure they are not suitable for hospital application, not at all. And many people say we have 7-stage filtration system and all these things. This all combination of all these substandard technology. Let's go to deactivate or kill technology. So the most useful and most effective, most economical technology could be ultraviolet rays, UV, especially at 254 nanometer wavelength. UV is supposed to be safe to use for medical application. But again, UV kills the pathogens in the light of sight, in the line of sight. As with any lamp, it has a shadow. So whatever comes in the UV lamp's path, that only that thing is killed. So whatever is the shadow is not killed. So cluster formation. Again, UV is mutagenic. That means it allows that pathogen to mutate, to change its structure. Thirdly, UV lamps need to be replaced, need to be calibrated. They are very maintenance prone actually. You need to clean them periodically. So these are UV, and then of course the effect of UV on human being, you all know. Means you get a skin cancer if you are exposed to UV. You get keratosis, that is eye problem, eye inflammation. So these are all documented problems. So UV is supposed to be used very with very much cautious. And again, UV is advised to be used about 10 feet height of the room. It is not supposed to, so it's upper room UV. So next, we have xenon lamps, pulse xenon lamps. They are automated. So this robo-like thing which takes the lamp all over the places. But then all these technologies, all these kill technologies, including your chemical fogging using hydrogen peroxide, or you do the formaldehyde or whatever you use, they're all chemical thing, and all these technologies are point in time. What it means, you do it, you get it clean, you have to remove the patient, you have to keep away the human beings, you have to seal rooms, you have to give some cooling time, and then you open the doors, you open the windows, and the patient enters in, the staff enters in, again, the entire area is unsterile. So it is point in time. So there's no permanent solution for this. So then we come to some sustainable solution. So that is exactly what I'm going to talk about. That is called cold plasma air sterilization, which is patented technology, which is the technology which is, you can see, I will share all the clinical data, which is tested. Even for COVID, it is tested. It's the only system which is tested for COVID, killing COVID surrogate. So I'll come to, so this is what is the conclusion. Rather, this is what we can say, that we are trying to solve the problems of yesterday, today with instruments of the past. So it is time for us to rethink our approach and combine existing strategies with new technology. So this was, I borrowed this statement from Professor Ozan Asadayan, who is the president of Austrian Society of Infection Control. So let's talk about ultra low energy plasma air disinfection. So first, for the beginners, what is plasma? Because you have been hearing plasma in different contexts. Plasma therapy, for the COVID patients, that is taking blood plasma. Then you hear about plasma TV and all these things. So that is illuminating the plasma panel with lights or creating plasma. So what is plasma in fact? And I'm talking about plasma for air insufficiency. So plasma in plain term is a forced state of matter. What it means, when you hit solid, it becomes liquid. When you apply energy to liquid, it becomes gas. So gas is the third stage. And if you apply heat or energy to the gas, it becomes plasma. So high energy applied to gas. In this case, I'm talking about air, which is a gas. We are treating it as a gas. So it creates the plasma. And the best example of plasma, this is a nice photograph which I borrowed again from the internet. It's from Bandra Sea Link. So this is the lightning. So lightning is the best example of plasma. Means no wonder you feel fresh after lightning strikes. So how does the plasma work actually? Means how does it work? So plasma is a high voltage, low temperature, atmospheric pressure, electronically generated electronic field. So what happens? There are two types of reactions happen within 2 milliseconds. That's how effective plasma is. So there is physical reaction, there is chemical reaction. Physically, now you can see this is a very healthy E. coli bacteria. These pictures which I'm showing here, these are from NASA. They have done some trials and study using this technology, our technology, and they have published white papers. So I'm using their scanning electron microscope images from NASA. So this is a E. coli nebulized bacteria, and this is what happens at the end of plasma treatment in 2 milliseconds. So what electromagnetic field stretches and stresses the microorganism. What happens actually with the microorganism? Electrons are produced, and the field bombards the cell. The cells are also irradiated with UV photons produced by the electrons. There is oxidation of the cell material happens, and etching of the cell happens, which breaks open the DNA, the membrane, and it ruptures the whole thing and continually flux in the chemical makeup of the plasma field. So what happens? This healthy looking E. coli bacteria, before entering, it is totally destructed into its natural molecule. And this is the photo, actually how step by step. So electroporation happens with the same E. coli bacteria, then electron bombardment, photoirradiation, and oxidation etching. So this is and everything happens in 2 milliseconds. So in comparison, in context, this is the healthy E. coli bacteria before it was subjected to any sterilization. It was also sterilized using 160 degrees heat for 2 hours. It is still intact. There is little damage, but it's still intact. And then this same E. coli bacteria was also subject to ozone, very high dose of ozone, like 350,000 ppb for 2 hours. So there is little bit of destruction or great destruction. But then with our plasma, DBD plasma, which I'm going to talk about, less than 2 milliseconds, you can see how totally it is destructed. So this is a video animation actually. It's not the actual thing. So this is the plasma field, and the air is attracted inside the machine with the help of the fan, different speed fan. So this infected air goes around this plasma field inside the machine, and the plasma acts, as I said, physical and chemical reactions happen 2 milliseconds, and it happens continuously. And then whatever comes out is totally clean air. And this is another unit, different unit, which is showing this is the plasma coil. This is the fan motor. The air goes in, and this another unit which we have added. Besides plasma technology, we have also added pre-filters, HEPA filters, and activated carbon filters. So this is for the bigger area and quicker remediation of if you have the OT where some incidents has happened and you don't have time in between two patients to use the OT, you can keep this machine on and it will actually purify the air before the next patient is admitted. And well, this particular technology was recently tested in a lab, aerosol engineering research lab in America. And this is their finding. They have done it using COVID-19 surrogate, which is MS2 bacteriophage. This is a virus which is just similar as COVID-19. So it's supposed to be COVID-19 surrogate. So MS2 bacteriophage is surrogate marker for SARS-CoV-2 because of its resemblance in size and being the RNA virus envelope. So what was the finding? Novirus or a company's DBD plasma, dielectric barrier discharge plasma, shows an average reduction of 99.991% log, that is log reduction of 4.14 in 15 minutes. In short, in 15 minutes, it comes down to, it kills everything, the COVID surrogate by 99.99991%. And it reduces in 30 minutes. If you put it on for a longer duration, it cleans even further, 99.997%. And this is the report published very recently and which is available on our website. It's from Aerosol Research and Engineering Laboratories in USA. And then besides COVID, this technology has been there for a few years now. It has been tested for all sorts of pathogens. Besides COVID, it has been tested, and it is done independently by agencies like NASA, ARE, Indoor, and multiple universities, including Huddersfield University in the UK, including Karolinska Institute in Sweden. So it has been tested, and we have this concise report, what happens with viruses using our type of technology, how much is the reduction, how much is the time, how much space. So, and which unit was used to purify the air. So viruses, you can see SARS, measles, influenza, 5X174, norovirus, influenza, in bacteria, tuberculosis, MRSA, Clostridium difficile or C. diff spores, Staphylococcus epidermis, MRSA, and all this, E. coli, aspergillus. And then it also brings down the VOCs to great level within 7 minutes. Actually, average 7 minutes, it brings down all VOC levels in the lab. Nitrogen, we are tested with nitrogen oxide, formaldehyde, toluene. And for PM, you always talk about PM, especially in the pollution during the heavy pollution time. So we have tested it for PM1 and PM2.5 particles. So within 6.33 minutes, 99% of PM particles come down to 0. So we have huge number of actual users data, clinical findings. I mean, we have data from NHS hospital in the UK, Royal Free Hospital in 2010. So they have found 97% reduction in MRSA superbug. They also, surprisingly, they also found 75% reduction in surface bacterial counts because they were cleaning the air. This machine is cleaning the air. So obviously, even the surface, whatever settles on the surface, come down. So they have proved that 75% reduction in surface bacteria. It was done in Hungary, similar in pulmonology pulmonology department. They found 82% drop in CFU rates. The similar study was done in Denmark for a big 1100 bed hospital. They performed the test and they found the infection rate actually fallen by 23% during the test period. So there are a lot of other things in the old age home, and then in one of the old age home, in one of the hospitals in Ireland, Leopardstown Hospital, they have also published that they have reduced the staff sickness time, means the people taking leaves, annual leaves. It has come down drastically, 50%. So this staff sickness time has come down drastically. That's the paper also. So this is the summary. 75 reduction in surface bacterial count, 97% reduction in MRSA, 82% drop in CFU rates, drop in infection rate, 100% reduction in C. difficile. So these are from different types of. So was it done for TB? Yes, of course. We have a paper, same like COVID, a company has done a detailed lab study using Mycobacterium smegmatis, which is again surrogate for tuberculosis. And again, it is found out that it is very, very effective. It doesn't distinguish between TB or coronavirus. It kills everything. So in India, we conducted a couple of years back, we conducted a pilot study for actual diagnostic lab by spray nebulizing M. tuberculosis. Of course, we did the lab did all the precautions, took ethical committee, this thing. So what they found out that within 5 minutes it is getting killed and there is no growth. There was culture for 45 days actually. So there was no growth in a negative control and tested sample even after 45 days in both the media. So this is courtesy Dr. Rupa Vishwanathan from Mumbai. Then we also conducted, in spite of all these studies conducted abroad, we have conducted many studies, including this this study for 3 months in Karwa Hospital in Thane. It's a public hospital, municipal hospital. So our equipment are used there in the labor OT, in the gynec ward, labor OT, over 21 days. So what happened? This is the day 0 when the machine was not on. So they took the CFU count, air samples, almost 4 air samples per day they took. Then the machine was on the 7th day, and then this the machine was kept on for 7 days. You can see it's coming down. After 2 weeks, it's come down further. After 3 weeks, it's coming down still further. And then after 21 days of trial, we switched on the machine once, switched off the machine. We turn off the machine once again. So on day 28, you can see the CFU count or the pollution or the infection is again going on. The air, the bioload is again going on. So this is recently we have conducted this study, and the findings were published in Microcon meeting by Dr. Milind Ubale, who is the infection control head of this hospital and who is also nodal officer for RNTCP program. So it was this paper was awarded also in this conference. So what are the applications of these units? Means where exactly these machines can be used. To tell you the truth, or as a person marketing this product, I will say it can be used anywhere where there is a air and there is a problem in air, but it is impractical. So it has to be used in operation theaters to reduce the risk of surgical site infections. It is very, very effective in ICUs and NICUs. It can be used in general patient wards. It can be used in emergencies and general OPDs, especially the chest OPDs, respiratory OPDs, where you have patients who are not diagnosed with TB and all these things. Ambulances and mobile clinics. In fact, regarding ambulances, 60% of ambulances in South Korea, government ambulances in South Korea, they use our equipment in their ambulances as a regulatory recommendation. And in mobile clinics, like I will show you the photo in next this thing. In COVID sample testing mobile lab, we have installed these units in municipal hospitals in different parts of Mumbai. Then, of course, senior living facilities, old age homes who are really immunocompromised, and we need to protect them, especially during the times of COVID. So these machines will be very, very useful for home care patients as well. Then, of course, schools, nursing homes, schools and nurseries and office spaces where you have important people. Schools, we have case studies on schools, dental units, ophthalmology hospitals. It has been used, and we have the case studies for that. So this is what Novirus, there are 3 units of this, different units for different capacity, depending on different bioburdens. So this is the smallest unit, which is very, very small, very compact, silent. And all these units are silent, means they are green on energy, consume very less electricity. This is a mid-level unit, NV800, and this is the big unit which filters as well, Defend 1050. So this is the real photo from Kasturba Hospital, which is a COVID hospital, first COVID hospital in Mumbai. So we gave this unit for this mobile testing cubicle, which is called Sepest cubicle, which is a startup project by Dr. Swapnil Parekh, one of my friends. And we donated it. You can see the commissioner, municipal commissioner, getting this machine. And then we have given 1 unit in Ram Manohar Roya Hospital through Ministry of Health in New Delhi. We have not sold it. We have just donated the machine there. Then 2 units are there in St. George Hospital in Mumbai. Then, as this photograph shows, we have 7 more such clinics who have installed BMC hospitals. Actually, they have installed these small machines. Then for COVID, during COVID pandemic, this foundation, Shantilal Mutha Foundation, it's a famous charitable organization. They have installed a few units at different places. Then we, besides COVID or even before COVID, we have units in Command Hospital of Indian Army and Navy Hospital as well. We have installed it in different veterinary universities, including Andhra University for animal labs. And because we are from, as Dr. Gupta introduced me, we are spent 25 years in IVF, so that is our forte. So we have installed many units, about 40 units in 40-50 units in IVF labs across India. And I think Dr. Patki from Kolhapur, who has a very huge success story, who is getting published in ISHRE in European Society, using this machine, how his embryo quality and the take-home baby rate increase. So we have many IVF labs across India using this. And this is how the mid-level model. This is again the actual photograph from the NSU at Dome, that sport arena where isolation wards have been created by Maharashtra government. So our unit is working there, protecting the healthcare workers who are taking the swabs. So to conclude, actually, Dr. Gupta, if you have any questions, I think you can ask after this conclusion.
Sure.
So to conclude, healthcare acquired infections already had reached worrisome levels before the new coronavirus was unleashed on the world. In the era of COVID-19, it has become more urgent for hospitals to deploy every available safeguard against deadly aerosols. Existing gold standards of hand hygiene, surface cleaning, and antibiotic stewardship, antimicrobial stewardship, are beneficial, but only if they are followed strictly. There is a strict compliance. So additional supplemental methods of room air disinfection shall actively be looked in and implemented. So our technology, which cleans the air, which treats the air by 24/7, which is green, which is user-friendly. It's a cold plasma base, and it is tested. It is certified by all the bodies. It is medically safe. It is manufactured in ISO labs, ISO factories actually. So the airborne bioburden with this technology can be reduced, and the healthcare acquired infections or nosocomial infections, which are transmitted via air, can be reduced to great extent. We can save thousands of lives, and we can save billions of dollars. So continuous scrubbing of room air reduces the risk of airborne pathogens settling on the surfaces, then creating less contact points. For hands, improving hand hygiene protocols. So the infection control loop from air to surface, surface to hand, and again to air. So this loop we have to close, and we are attempting to close this loop with our technology. So this is it, gentlemen. Now I can take any questions if you are. And
Sure.
if you want to have just a brief this thing, if you want to have more information, original manuscript or papers which I have mentioned, please visit our website, www.trivectorbiomed.com or www.novirus.com. That is the site of our principal company. Thank you very much.
Great presentation, Dilip ji. I think you have given very detailed situation, like the analysis of this scenario of the infections. And there are lots of questions. In fact, there are 28 questions in the Q&A box. Like if you can open your screen. So, some of the questions you have already addressed in your presentation, but there are like some of them which are unaddressed. So I will request you to, in fact, have a look at it yourself and take up some of the most relevant questions, please.
Okay, maybe I'll just go back and
yes. And there are like audience from all over the country. I can see people from Varanasi to Chennai to
yeah. In fact, there is one question which asks,
yeah.
How safe is Novirus plasma disinfection unit, which you have mentioned, to be used for patient occupied room? Means how safe is it to be used around patients? So as I'm told that this technology, whatever happens, happens inside the machine. So whatever comes out is only the clean air, and that is exactly the point. It consumes very less electricity. It is silent, so it is not irritating for the patient. So it can be used in the vicinity of the patient, in the breathing zone of the patient actually. So it is very, very safe, and it is certified for its ozone generation. It's whatever ozone levels, they are well below, way below the medical safe levels advised by EPA. So this is one question I would like to answer. There's another question. If a hospital is already having HVAC air handling system installed, do you still need to use your machine? Yes, preferably. It's, of course, our machine, I'm not claiming it is a replacement of your air handling system or your existing infection control protocols, but it adds value it adds value. And then even if you have HVAC, even if you have isolation room, positive pressure or negative pressure, if you have closed room or open room, I still can advise you go ahead and use this machine, because it will keep doing its work. Maybe the aerodynamics will change depending on the HVAC system and all this thing, but this machine will keep on doing the work, and you can safely keep it on 24/7, because we guarantee this machine for the continuous use for 2 years, continuous use 24/7. So don't worry about, except for of course the replacement part like filters. So it is very safe to be used around the patient. So there is also a question from somebody from school sector. What is your suggestion to the educational institutes regarding COVID? Of course, besides hand hygiene and surface cleaning, which schools need to revisit their protocols, but air cleaning means having such air purifiers or air disinfecting units installed in each classroom, especially for the vulnerable age group, early years group. I think I will advise that you should have these machines on all the time in this thing, if you don't have any other alternative. And then there is a question: how effective is novirus technology on tuberculosis, especially considering the huge problem in India? Of course, the findings of TB, I just mentioned in my slide presentation that we have tested it for tuberculosis surrogate. And in fact, we have been trying very hard actually to demonstrate our technology to all these people who are in the forefront of NTB strategy, governmental people and different agencies and NGOs and all these things. But unfortunately, this is a comparatively new technology, and it promises to do much more than people expect actually. So there's always the doubt, if it is too good, then it is not worth believing. That's what if it's too good to believe. Unfortunately, we are not able to really get or break the ice with these governmental agencies to convince them that this machine will kill TB bacteria. We have papers from Americas and Europe and all these things. We have done pilot study, but then we are struggling. But then believe me, this is a very, very effective, very user-friendly, very sustainable way of controlling the TB. And unfortunately, with this COVID thing, TB patients are undetected, untreated, and I read a report just today morning from Global Health, which is Bill Gates Foundation's initiative, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They said that till 2025, there will be additional 6.4 million additional TB patients in the world because of COVID. Because of COVID, so many patients will get get generated actually. So many patient cases will, and then 1.4 million additional people. 1.4, so I mean, so we lose 1.4 million population of the world every year due to TB. But this report, Global Health report, also says that additional 1.4 million people will die because of undetection or untreatment of this underlying patients, because we are giving all the attention to COVID, and we are missing this thing. So this machine can really work wonder actually. That's my my submission. It may be a little biased. Well, how is it different from PCO technology? This is one question from one of the industry person actually. So PCO is photocatalytic oxidation. It is nothing but extended version of UV technology. What happens? The UV light is bombarded on a photocatalytic substrate. It's a titanium oxide substrate. So UV light bombards this titanium oxide. So there are hydroxyl or oxygen and hydrogen ions radicals actually, they are generated. And these hydroxyl radicals combine with the pathogens and they are neutralized. So this is PCO technology. You still need UV light, you still need cartridge, you still need replacement parts and all these things. And again, it generates ozone. It is known to generate ozone. And as you know, ozone is not good for wound healing in the hospital. So it is good for limited applications, but not for the critical care. So that's my this thing. And the same guy is asking, is it effective against VOCs and CACs? So as I mentioned, we have studies on all sort of volatile organic compounds and chemical air components. We have done the studies, and it is in a real life setting, in the actual setting, IVF labs, you can talk to independent IVF labs who are using this technology, 50 of them. You can talk to them directly, and you can get to know how it is benefiting them. Not just the air quality pathogens, but also the IVF lab air quality like VOCs and CACs. And then, of course, many people are asking, what is the cost of your machine? So I will not like to take this question online, because the cost varies depending on the country or location, where tax rates and custom duties are different. So I'll not, please take this issue with me or any of my colleagues, Trivector colleagues, offline. But I can tell you the cost of ownership of this machine or this technology would not be more than 100 rupees per bed per day. It's I can justify that, but then that is what I have roughly calculated. And what's the running cost of this unit in the laboratory? One of the IVF person has asked it. So the running cost is, believe me, 0 for these 2 units, NV 200 and 800. Absolutely no running cost. You have to just clean the pins and the small filter in NV 800. It's a nylon filter which is washable. And the high-end model NV 1050 or Defend 1050, you need to change, replace the HEPA filter and pre-filter and carbon filter regularly. But also, again, the frequency of changing of these filters is very low as compared to your ordinary 3-stage filtration system like towers and whatever you name it, because plasma takes care of most of the impurities. So it makes sure that HEPA filter, the burden on HEPA filter and other filter is as low as possible. There is my friend from Sweden, actually. He is associated with another company dealing with duct-based air handling system. So he has asked a question. It was said that there is no HVAC available that can eliminate the worst disease, but there are live air for both hospitals and IVF clinics, third party. Of course, he's trying to market his technology through this webinar. That is okay. That's okay, Lars. And there is, well, I think if you have any questions, Dr. Gupta, or any other,
I have a question that, first of all, there are a lot of questions and there are a lot of chats also. Like if you look at the chat button, there are some questions here also. So first of all, I will request that many people are asking that they want more information. So please put your email ID and phone number here, any contact number on the chat.
Okay, I will do that. I will just put it on one of the slides and I will share it.
Yeah, and put it on the chat also. Like
okay, I will put it on the chat right away.
It's like easier to copy.
Yeah. It is very simple. It is dilip@trivectorbiomed.com. That's my personal email ID. And there is an official email ID which can be sent on info@trivectorbiomed.com. That is another email ID which you can send. And I will also share my mobile number is there on the website, and you can actually call me directly also. There is no issue on that.
Please write here also.
Yeah. Yeah, I can write here also. Okay.
Yes. So that people are like easily able to connect to you. So I request all the audience that if you have additional question, you can straight away.
Is there any way, Dr. Gupta, I can answer this chat offline?
No, actually, no.
So this chat will go away after this call is over?
Yes. Like it will expire, and but we can send you the copy of this.
Because I would like to answer all of them. I like to
all the
questions.
I'm like interested that you can take a few more questions from the chat which are most relevant.
Yeah, I will try to.
Please.
There are hundreds of chat messages.
Exactly. Like I think the response of the audience is very good.
Yeah, it is great that people are getting aware or interested in airborne infection now.
Yes.
I mean,
And because of the COVID situation, I think that the awareness level is and the interest level is higher.
we are using hand wash, but what things we have to check in hand wash before using? I think we have mentioned that already.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't know, Dr. Gupta, are you giving certificate for the participant? Because many participants.
Yes. So,
Okay.
let me announce, like there are lots of inquiries for the certificate. So there is an email address written in the chat of Gopi. So please send an email to him, gopi@elets.co.in, and you send your details and send proof that you have attended this session. So send a screenshot of this session, the Zoom session, and you will be provided a certificate. Yes.
Some people, Dr. Gupta has mentioned that the slides, the text material on the slide was not visible or readable. So can we have the presentation? So I don't mind giving this presentation, but then is your organization okay with sharing it?
Yes. All okay. No
Okay.
problem.
Okay, so I will, whoever has given email ID, I will just send the presentation to them.
Yes. So for all the audience, if like you are interested to have this presentation, please, like you have the email ID of Dilip Patil ji. So you can like directly email to him and he will send you the presentation.
And there are questions about Dr. Gupta about how big size of the room these machines can be effective and all these things. So it's again the answer to this question is different questions for different types of room. But then the smallest room which I have shown NV200 is good enough for area up to 100 square feet. It is basically for personal use. It has to be kept in a breathing zone of the patient. So the patient gets all the effect of that. So normally small bedrooms or small consulting room, it is okay. And then NV800, the mid-level room, it's for the mid-level room up to 300 to 350 square feet. When I say square feet, I assume the ceiling height of about 8 feet, normal height of 8 feet. And then there is this high-end model called Defend 1050, which takes care of covers. It's very effective model. It has 6 plasma coils. It takes care of area up to 1,000 square feet actually. So it is useful for big wards and big OTs, big ICUs and all these things. And well, we can calculate depending on your room size, your existing air handling system, whether windows are open, cross ventilation, mechanical ventilation, no ventilation. So it all depends on all these parameters. But then we have some rule of thumb for that. So I can share with these people who have asked this.
So, Dilipji, I have a generic question which is in the minds of so many people, and it's a bit of beyond the topic.
Okay.
Also, that like this corona situation is spreading, and the numbers are increasing every day, and many of the doctors are getting infected. Many of the medical staff are getting infected.
Yes, unfortunately.
So, what is the reason and why is it happening? Like your view on this?
See, what I mean, I'm not a, by the way, I'm a biomedical engineer. I'm not a doctor, or I don't have authority to talk on something which is doctor's territory. But then whatever I understood from the entire, this thing, being in this field for a few years now, we have huge population of asymptomatic patients. These patients who are perfectly all right. They're not showing any symptom. They're talking for hours. They're not coughing. They're not sneezing. They have normal parameters. Even parameters are normal, but still they are positive. This their first, second, third sample are positive. So that is something which is very, very of great concern to us actually. That should be, because these are the patients who will transmit this to many other unsuspected individuals, because they'll be talking to somebody, they will be shaking hands with somebody in the family members, especially if there are old members or patients with comorbidity, cancer, diabetes, and all these things. Or these patients, if they're not quarantined or they're not taking proper precaution like distancing and mask and all these things. So this is going to spread in a huge way. I don't know why it is not still acknowledged. It's a community transmission. It's already. And these asymptomatic patients, they need to be taken care of, or they should be, though they will generate, the asymptomatic also means they might have developed, some of them might have developed herd immunity or immunity for COVID type of this thing. And WHO prefers to call this asymptomatic patients as pre-symptomatic, because according to them, asymptomatic patients at one point will definitely show the symptoms, if not physically, but through their blood reports and all these things. So this is what I can say. And then most of the things, means you can't close the air, you can't have the vacuum. So air will be there, and air particles will be there, aerosols will be there. And these patients who are actually having COVID, they are in so much physical stress that they tend to cough with big force. They tend to sneeze with big force. So these droplets, even though they use surgical mask and all these things, they will just leak away in the area. And then, as I said, droplet nuclei or aerosols, which will stay there for many hours, and they will affect the patients who come in contact with them. So Corona has really posed a big challenge. But then I think we'll live with that, as with thousands of other pathogens we are living with. Only thing is, it is happening in a short duration, a very short time. We have to face all these things, and that's why we are burdened on this. But then we have to follow all these gold standards along with air disinfection. That's my final comment.
So I think we are at the end of the this webinar here, and Dilipji, you have attended many of the conferences of eHealth. You have written in our eHealth magazine several times. Your views on the efforts of this eHealth magazine to create awareness about various technological innovations in the health sector. Please provide.
In fact, I must admire the efforts of you, Dr. Gupta, especially the founder of this group. It's not just eHealth. I came across, when I launched this technology in India, the first platform I got was your organization. There was a healthcare summit in Rajasthan, which gave us good platform, which gave us opportunity to present this technology to the actual decision makers. And that was for the first time. And this the way you organize these healthcare summits and your eHealth magazine especially, it is always trying to address the technologies, latest technologies. And besides eHealth, you also dabble into e-governance, e-schooling, and all of the things actually, means e-finance. So I really, and I've been following you during this COVID times. You're conducting almost 2 webinars a day, and your energy is amazing. Thank you for doing all these things. And I'm glad I'm associated with Elets or eHealth for some time now. And I'm sure I will be part of your endeavors in future too.
Great. Thank you, Dilipji, for all your encouragement.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta, and thank you all the participants. Miss, I hold you back for your lunches and maybe morning breakfast. I'm sorry for that, but then please feel free to. I'm very happy that I was able to share my views, though it was tending toward marketing talk, but then it has to be used. Though it is marketing, I'm trying to market something which will save lives actually. So please bear with me and ask me as many questions, critical questions, and give us a opportunity to prove ourselves. Thank you very much.
Dilipji, this technology which you are talking is so much important in these times when the COVID numbers are increasing day by day, and there is a much more awareness about the hygiene in the inside the hospital also. And thanks for giving a detailed analysis of the various aspects of the hygiene and the various aspects of the air infections. And it has really enriched our knowledge. And I thank all the audience. There are 132 people still here. we who are on the Zoom, and I can see that there are hundreds of people on the Facebook who are watching it live. So I really admire all the audience and thank you all of you. And I request all the audience to please like and share this video so that there is much more awareness about the hygiene and infection issues inside our hospitals, so that more and more lives are saved in this critical situation. So with this, we will end it here. And I will also inform the audience that every week we are holding one e-health webinar, which is like on the various aspects of the health sector. So you can follow us on the e-health handle on the Facebook and watch these webinars live. And here we will close. And again, I would like to thank Dilip ji, Dilip
Thank you.
Patil, founder director of Trivector Group, for joining us, for giving us so much knowledge today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dilip ji.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And namaskar, all the audience.